Now that we have our papers ready and our fabrics cut, we can start piecing the Lone Star unit. And we're going to piece all 6 of these papers at the same time. So you can take the clip off of your paper, off of your fabric, and move it to the side. And these, I just kind of flare these out just a little bit so they're easier to pick up, but just leave them in order still. I'll put those up there. So we start in order with SS1 on top, the 2 copies, then SS2, 2 copies, then SS3, 2 copies. And lay them so you can read the printing that's on it. Everything is going to be worked so you can read the printing. So let's start with number 1, and we're going to take the first fabric and we're going to turn this wrong side up. Section 1 is always started wrong side up. And we'll take our first SS1 sheet and we check that here's my polka dot and here's my polka dot fabric. So you see how the angle of the fabric matches the angle of the paper. Now we're going to place some glue underneath these sections on the back side of the paper, and we're going to glue it down. So I take my glue stick, turn this over, and just put a streak of glue across the back. Turn it over, and you want to place this on your fabric and make sure that this seam line, the dashed line, still has some fabric on it underneath, and then the fabric covers the top from the seam line to the bottom line, and then it covers both edges. So you see you have plenty on the edges. So we're going to continue doing this. Put the next one on top. Take your next SS1. Put the glue at the bottom. You're putting this glue under section 1. Lay this out. Next one. Flip it over. Now this is another one. This is SS2. So check your swatch and check to make sure you have the fabric, the correct fabric. Put the glue under all of section 1 and glue it down. Next one, flip it over, check the fabric and the swatch, glue, and stick, glue and stick, and glue and stick. Take the next one. We have 2 more. Flip it over, check your fabric, glue, and stick. And then the last one, flip it over, check the fabric, glue, and stick. Okay, so now we have section 1 complete. The next thing we're going to do is use our folding template, and we're going to fold on line 1, and we're going to trim the fabric. Now you will need your add-a-quarter ruler and your rotary cutter for this, and your fold template. Now I'm using this piece of cardboard or cardstock so you can see it, because the fold template is clear plastic and it's difficult to see on the video. So we take these and leave them in their stack, because now you have SS3 at the top. So just move the stack off to the side. Keep your fabric stacked how they are. Take the first one, which is the SS3, and we're going to place the fold template on line 1. We're placing it on solid line 1, and we're folding the paper back on line 1. And just fold it all the way across. Now you're going to take your add-a-quarter ruler, and there's usually not much to trim off, but you're going to trim absolutely nothing there to trim off. Leave it folded and place it in another stack. We're just going to stack them on top right now. So place your fold template on line 1, and if you put it sort of in the middle, you should be able to not have to move it. So just fold it like this and just go all the way out. Then trim with your 1/4 ruler. These are very close. And stack it on top. And here's how you sort of stagger it. So leave that there. Go to the next one. And to trim these long ones, I start at one end and trim as much as I can. Stop the rotary cutter, then slide the 1/4 ruler down, and then continue trimming. Stack that, and then our last one. Fold, trim, and stack. Now by doing this, we've put SS1 back at the top. So I'm going to move all of these down like this. So now we have SS1 on the top and SS3 at the bottom. And if we flip over SS1 and we look, now we're going to do fabric S4, and we glued fabric S4 on there, and it's the same fabric that's now in line to be placed. So leave this folded, and let's put these off to the side, but keep them in order. So take this first one, and you're going to place the next strip on your cutting mat. Now these are going to be right sides up. From now on, these will be right sides up. You take your paper, and we're going to match the cut side, the trim side we just trimmed, with the top side of this piece of fabric, this side here. We're going to match those. Easier said than done sometimes, you can't see. Then we're going to check our sides. So you see that I have fabric, enough fabric coming out on this side, and always note that you want your fabric angle to be the same as your paper angle. Then you know it's going to cover. Then if I look over here, I see I have plenty of fabric. Actually, we're looking at the white fabric beneath it. So if I look here, there's the papers here. Put my finger there, and I see I have plenty of white fabric underneath. Now these are long seams, and they're hard to keep the fabric on top. So let me just angle these up so they match better. Okay, so what I do is I take my glue pen, because it's 1/4 inch. You start on one side and lift it up, lift up the top fabric, and put a little dab of glue right there. And before you put it down, let me zoom in so you can see. Before you put it down, pick up another part with your other finger, then press down on the glue. Put the glue here. Pick up the next part, press down that glue, glue, go down to the next one, glue, go down to the next one. So now you have glued this, and it won't come apart. And when you put it under the machine to stitch it, it'll stay in place. Okay, so next we're going to take this stack. And usually I put this on a big ruler, and they look better because I have more room to work. But what we're going to do is take this top one, and we're going to start with the top and go to the bottom. So we'll take it off of the stack on our machine, put it down on the table, flip this over, and hold everything together. And line one, the solid line one, let's zoom in so it's crystal clear. There it is, solid line one. We're going to stitch on that line. So you're going to start a few stitches off, 2 or 3 stitches off, then stitch on the line all the way across. And when you get to the end, you're going to stitch off a few stitches off the end. For paper piecing, you're going to use a smaller stitch length. We recommend a 1.8. That makes it easier to tear off the papers later. And also use a straight foot, just a regular foot. You can see where you're going. You can see the line when you're stitching. So here's what the stitching looks like. A few stitches off the line, and it's difficult to see because I used white thread. And then just stitch on the line all the way down. And then let's move to the other side, and a few stitches off the other side. Next, you'll turn these over, put it on your ironing board or ironing surface, and flip up the piece you just stitched on top and press away from the stitching. So you always press toward the piece you just added. We added number 1 first, and this is section 2. So always press toward the section you added. Once they're pressed, here's what they look like pressed. And you can always tell your fabrics are going the right way because the angles are correct. So now you're going to flip all of them over and put them back in order. So you have SS3s at the bottom, then your SS2s and your SS1s.